Dan Dickow here, Gonzaga Nation SI. Well, I'm in a little bit different surroundings, studio or home office in reporting this. So apologize for any darkness in the video or possibly struggle with the audio. But Gonzaga Nation SI continues to roll on as we get towards the end of August, looking forward to the start of the school year. But there's some big news coming out of the WCC today that a lot of people have been waiting on. And it starts to paint the picture and allow you to kind of piece together the rest of what you might be curious about. And that's Gonzaga's schedule. So we already know they've got a few different games on the schedule that have been announced in different places, talked about, such as the San Diego State game at home, the game at UW, the Maui Invitational, which we don't know where it will play this year due to the fires in Lahaina. We know that they are going to play Kentucky. That was just announced where, literally in the last 36, 48 hours. And then a couple random one-offs have been released due to other schools releasing their schedule. But waiting on the full final non-conference from Gonzaga. But that being said, the WCC released their conference schedule. And so in return, you see Gonzaga's conference schedule. And with the fact that BYU is now out of the league, we have 9 teams. So that makes the schedule change a little bit from the last couple of years where you didn't play every single team twice in a home and home. A couple teams you would skip in regards to playing them 2 times. So that's no longer the case. Gonzaga will play every WCC opponent home and away this upcoming season. But when I look at the overall logistics of the WCC conference schedule, I see the fact that the league has gotten a little bit creative in regards to working with their broadcast partners, namely ESPN, and I would guess maybe CBS Sports swoops up one as well. And the fact that there are 3 games that will be played on Tuesdays this year, as well as a couple Wednesdays. That allows for different slots in broadcast network schedules. So you would imagine from everything that's been released so far, those 3 Tuesdays are probably going to slide in and become ESPN games. The Wednesdays, Gonzaga at least has one of those Wednesdays, more than likely will be a CBS game because CBS Sports Network produces a lot of games on Wednesdays throughout the regular season. But when we look at it, those 3 games that are on Tuesdays involve one game with Gonzaga. That would be LMU at Gonzaga on January 20th, St. Mary's at Pacific on February 6th, as well as USF at St. Mary's on February 20th. I mentioned the Gonzaga playing at least one game on a Wednesday. That's against the University of Portland. And the reason that slid to a Wednesday, and that's exciting, is because right after that, they play at Kentucky. So that Kentucky game has been talked about. Where's it going to fit in the schedule? Will they play it in November, December? I thought it was going to be slotted in mid-December, maybe right around the time they finish up with finals or before they go to finals, but that's not the case. It's going to be in mid-February on a Saturday. They'll have to travel back to Lexington, Kentucky. I like this. This reminds me a lot about when John Calipari, the current head coach at Kentucky, was the head coach at Memphis. And Gonzaga and Memphis had a series, I want to say it was about 4, 5, 6 years, where they went back and forth because Memphis was in the Conference USA, GU was obviously in the WCC, and both teams would try to find a way to strengthen their teams before the push of the last push in conference play, conference tournaments, and the NCAA tournament. So I think this is spectacular scheduling from Gonzaga, and I think it helps Kentucky as well to see a different style of team other than an SEC team right before they get into postseason play as well. So that was of interest. That has been talked about a fair amount in regards to where is that Gonzaga Kentucky game going to be slated. With it being on a Saturday, I would imagine it's going to be an ESPN game. It might even be a big CBS game nationally. It's hard to say just yet. Most of those games will be announced with who the television partner is. That typically happens late to September, at the latest mid-October. So should start seeing some of that stuff fairly soon. But a couple other games that stand out to me other than those Tuesdays for conference games. There's three that stand out to me. Well, those three stand out to me, but then four others stand out to me in particular. And the first is the first day of WCC play, January 4th. It's a Thursday. In the last few years, because it's been a 10 team league, many games have started before New Year's Eve, maybe the 30th, a couple games on the 31st. That's no longer the case this year. They start after the new year. And right away, I think the one that jumps out at me is a big opponent matchup is Santa Clara at LMU. LMU has shown tremendous strides, signs of progress over the last year. Santa Clara was knocking on the door of the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. Outside of injuries, they may have gotten in. They've produced just as many NBA players the last 2 years as Gonzaga has in regards to being drafted. I mean by that. So they've been active in the transfer portal with Brandon Pajemski coming in last year. He having a tremendous season, then getting drafted by the Warriors in the first round. They've been active in the transfer portal again. We'll see just which player in that category becomes a gem this upcoming season. And then LMU, as I mentioned, signs of progress. Dominic Harris, former Gonzaga player, now at LMU. I would expect him, to have a major role down in LA for Stan Johnson. Other game that stands out for me, that's not Gonzaga related in the WCC conference, is going to be Santa Clara at USF. You mentioned a second ago Santa Clara in that transfer portal being really active and finding a gem a season ago in Pajemski. Hopefully they find that gem again this year. Well, USF, there's been a number of national publications that have listed their transfer portal activity and who they got in the transfer portal as being top 10 in the country. Okay. So they've been active. They've got some good players coming in. The one that stands out to me is Magic Mike, Mongolian Mike, whatever you want to call him. He's got a number of different names. Mike Shraven. I'm not in the middle of a broadcast season where I've got the last name phonetically in front of me. So just the transfer from Dayton, 6'7", 6'8", good ball handling skills, good shooting skills, good passer, feel for the game. He headlines a crew of really good transfers at USF. So that game to me, because I look at it again this year with no BYU, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, clearly top 25 teams. And then the way the league is continuing to trend, that third team each year should have aspirations and thoughts of being in the NCAA tournament. And right now, I know lots of teams have had movement, but Santa Clara and USF to me, as a early season, late summer look at it, are to me those two teams that are going to be fighting for that third place kind of mark within the league. And then when you look at Gonzaga, the two games that stand out to me in regards to league importance, in Gonzaga was done no favors again by the league. It's happened this way a number of times in the fact that they have to wrap up the season on the road. So when you look at Gonzaga's final two conference games, you got at USF on a Thursday, at St. Mary's on a Saturday. I already mentioned how good I think USF's going to be. I think they're going to be vying for a third place finish, maybe even have aspirations of finishing higher in the league, which they should, but I think they're very talented and they've got an ability to do that. So GU at USF, that's going to be a big time game, second to last home game of the season. And then Gonzaga, St. Mary's, as the league has done many times, whether it's in Spokane, whether it's in Moraga, wrap up the regular season. And if history holds true and it shares a little bit about what this season may be, is that it's going to be a dogfight. These two teams, yes, Gonzaga's had St. Mary's numbers with blowout wins on a number of occasions, but when you look at the battles down in Moraga over recent years, those have been absolutely great basketball games. You look at last year's game, Aiden Mahaney had huge plays down the stretch. Logan Johnson played well. St. Mary's has Alex Dukas returning. Mitchell Saxon is returning as well. it's just St. Mary's is just such a good basketball team. I think they're undervalued nationally, but everyone on the West Coast knows just how good they are. I would imagine that will be a game that, honestly, I think it's going to go down to the final weekend for who wins the league title this year. And then the other piece is both teams, if they hold true to what they should do, barring injuries, barring any struggles in non-conference and conference, I think those two teams are both going to be top 15, top 20 ranked teams at the time when you're looking at the finale of the WCC. And again, it might be for the league title, which very well could be. I think it will be. Obviously, the Gonzaga fan in me would hope that Gonzaga will have wrapped it up by then. But as an analyst looking at it, I think it's going to be for the title in the league. So interesting things, fun things to look at now that the WCC conference has been released. Now that you see a lot of WCC teams such as Pacific, LMU, Pepperdine releasing their entirety of their schedule, you can start kind of really feeling as if the season is right around the corner. Some exciting times here in late August for college basketball fans. For Gonzaga Nation SI, thanks for checking us out.